Good evening, class. My name is Bryan. I'll be going over the case study number 2, where McDonald's goes over all their different hiring processes and how one of the big things that they do is they hire employees that have never worked before. That can be good and bad in a lot of different ways. In regards to hiring somebody new, one of the benefits is that you don't really have to retrain bad habits. A lot of employers that they may have, if they haven't worked, or if they have worked before, a lot of times other employers may create bad habits, or they might learn bad habits from another employee that they worked with, and then they take those over to a new job, and they have to kind of be retrained out of them. So having a new employee, you don't really have to deal with a lot of those bad habits. But one of the things that does arise by hiring new employees, and there's a few of them, one of the main things is that they may not have good habits either, and you have to train a little bit more to make sure that they are either walking somebody to the door, they are being nice to customers, they're not being sarcastic or rude. You need to make sure that they don't say anything that could potentially get them in trouble. A lot of times employees don't realize that even if they're talking in the back, or they're sitting out front, like at McDonald's, they might be eating and they're sitting out at one of the tables, but they say something that really is not appropriate, and they're in their uniform still, that can create a problem. And a lot of times new employees that have never worked before don't realize that those are things that they need to pay attention to. Also, a lot of times you have somebody that is a little immature, doesn't know what it's like to work a little bit of a harder day. They may not understand that if they want to take that extra day off, it's you have to request it, you have to get approval, and if you don't get approved, that it unfortunately that's the way it is. A lot of times new employees don't get that, and it can create some problems with their attitude or what they're trying to do while they're at work. Now, some other major problems that can come along with that is new employees take a little bit longer to get trained, because again, you're not just training them on the processes of your every day-to-day work, you're also training them on processes, handling money, how you handle it properly. You're training them on proper clothing etiquette, what colors to wear, what not to wear, what kind of shoes you got to wear. You got to train them on all the different habits, not just the processes that they need to know to be able to get their job done. With that being said, a lot of times those are easy fixes. Again, one of the things that McDonald's does is they do hiring days. So all employees that want to get hired, new or people that have never worked before, they come in, they go through a interview process where there may be 4 or 5 new employees all trying to get hired at the same time. Once that's done, they then go into a training process if they get decided whether they want to be hired or not, and they learn how to deal with the different processes while they're at work. So if it's cash handling, if it's taking food back and forth, proper washing your hands and everything, cooking, they go through all the different training depending on which job they're going to be going for. And once that is done, they then can start getting into the actual doing it at the McDonald's that they're going to be working at. I think that's a great way to kind of prevent a new employee from having bad habits from the start, is if you have them go through an extensive training early, and that training is not just about, hey, here's the process. It's a little more strict, going over the rules, making sure that people aren't going to take off all the time, or they leave early, and now they're getting in trouble for taking off too early all the time. The proper ways of going in for leave or time off, whether it be personal time off or sick leave, they need to know these processes as well. And if that's all done during training, you can prevent a lot of issues down the road. And by being stricter earlier, it can really stop problems before they start. And I know a lot of times companies won't do that, and then they have to deal with the case-by-case basis, and it could have been prevented earlier in the situation. As far as it goes with somebody being a new employee and just teaching them how to do it right. Now, if an employee is at your work that has been there a while and they're not doing it right, you need to get on them as well. Make sure that they're doing it right so that that other person can kind of see what they're supposed to be doing. And if they see that you're getting on somebody that's been there a while and they're getting in trouble for doing something, then you're going to be more likely as a new employee that's never worked before to do the right thing so you don't get in trouble and get on the bad side of the boss. So all in all, that's probably the best way to go about getting this done and taken care of. New employees can be a godsend, but they can also be a little bit of a pain if you don't bite the problems in the butt early.